Well, I grew up loving the boating lifestyle. I can remember as a little kid, my parents would take us to the lake. I had an aunt and uncle that took me to the lake, and that was what I longed to do. I longed to be on the water, whether it was riding an inner tube or a kneeboard or even fishing. It was just being on the water was my retreat. And so as a career police officer for the city of Homewood, I wanted a boat, but with a police officer's salary, I couldn't afford one. So I subscribed to Waterscape Magazine, and Waterscape Magazine was this little boat company called Marlin Skier. Now, I'd never seen a Marlin Skier in the Southeast, so I made a phone call one day and asked them who was their dealer. They said they didn't have any dealers east of the Mississippi. So I asked Marlin Skier if I could become their rep, and they said they would sell me a boat at cost and I could go around and set up dealers. So I did that. I bought a Marlin Skier, brought it back, traveled around the Southeast, and actually set up dealers to sell Marlin Skier. As the Marlin Skier line grew, another boat company saw me at a boat show and asked me to come see their factory. So I did that, and that was when Malibu was starting in the eastern United States. So Malibu approached me and said, what do you think about trying to have a dealership in Birmingham? I was still working night shift and didn't really have any money to open a dealership and didn't have a location, but I prayed about it and found a little lot up on Highway 280. Now it's a Papa John's Pizza, but it was a grass lot. I rented it for $200 a month. I went to the bank and borrowed enough money for 2 boats, and I would take the boats up there in the daytime and pick them up at night. And had a phone for SKIER'S Marine, which we named it SKIER'S Marine. We didn't want to have bass boats, so we thought that was pretty appropriate. And that's how SKIER'S Marine started. Started on a $200 a month lot rent and a $65 a month phone bill. And then we sold 6 boats our first year, 12 boats our second year, and we decided it was time to actually move into a building. So we found a building that moved my rent all the way up to a whopping $700 a month. And we did that for a couple of years and continued to work really hard, still working night shift in a police car and trying to sell boats and get SKIER'S Marine off the ground during the daytime. So we purchased the 3 acres on 280 that we're currently at, and it was wooded, had a little creek going through it, which I thought was cool because I love the outdoors. And I needed to get it excavated. I needed to get the trees cleared and the land level before I could even think about building a building. And so the first phone call I made was to an excavator. He showed up and he said, I'll be glad to clear that. And he gave me a quote of $88,000. When he said $88,000, I about fell over. And I can remember calling my wife, Vicki, and saying, we have some really expensive honey land because we are not going to be able to clear this land for years. But my mom knew a person that was in the excavating business, and she said, call Mark. So I called Mark. Mark came down here and cleared it and gave me a price before he did, obviously. And that price was $22,000 to excavate it and actually build the little lake we have. So the price went from $88,000 to $22,000. That's just another way God showed up and worked all this out for SKIER'S Marine to continue to grow. So we had the land on 280. We were able to get it cleared, and 280 was a perfect location for a boat dealership. It's a main corridor that comes right out of Birmingham and goes straight to some of the biggest lakes in Alabama. There's a lot of drive-by traffic, 4-lane road, easy access. And another big plus to this was it's only about 12 minutes to the lake. So our technicians are able to go lake test boats. We're able to take customers out and let them experience the boats before they purchase them. So I was able to get it cleared at an affordable price. And I always wanted a log cabin boat dealership. So from the beginning of thinking about SKIER'S Marine and where one day I hoped that it would grow to, I wanted a log cabin. And with the little pond out front, I actually ran into a customer that bought a boat from me when I was a rep that sold log cabins. And he came out here, built a log cabin that we currently occupy, although it's grown. And SKIER'S Marine went from selling 5 boats in 1995 to 65 new ski and wakeboard boats in 2008. At that point, I have 3 kids, 2 of them that love the boat business and were really interested in pursuing it. One of those being Chad, the oldest, and Ryan, the middle son. So in 2008, obviously the economy slowed down, and we made it through 2008, 2009, 2010 without actually slowing down in sales. 2011 came around and Chad had graduated Auburn, and we decided it was time to expand our footprint. So we looked at North Alabama because there really wasn't a Malibu or SKIER'S Choice dealer up there. So we were able to find a location on Highway 72 in Athens, and we opened SKIER'S Marine North. It was Chad's first experience at running a boat dealership, but honestly, he did a tremendous job. He's grown up in boat dealerships just like Ryan. They started working here on 280 when they were both 11 and 12 years old, washing boats, cleaning up, getting boats ready to be delivered. And then once they got their driver's license, they would actually take boats to the lake. And I believe Chad probably sold his first boat when he was about 16 and actually did the boat demo himself. So Chad knew about the boat dealership, and it was just a good fit for Chad to move to North Alabama and open SKIER'S Marine North. So SKIER'S Marine is doing well with 2 boat dealerships, the one in Westover and the one in Athens. And then Ryan, who is my middle son, had just graduated Alabama, tried law school because he thought that's what he wanted to be, and decided law school wasn't for him, and decided after prayer and talking to me and his mom that he would like to have a boat dealership that he could run, to be another SKIER'S Marine. We looked in Mississippi all over for months and couldn't find anything. And one night when I'm playing on the iPad, something told me to Google Waterscape Marine. Now I knew Waterscape Marine from years ago when it was a dealership on Lake Martin, but honestly I hadn't thought about it. So I believe God planted that seed, Waterscape Marine, because honestly, without the Holy Spirit saying, Rhett, look at this, I wouldn't have thought about it. So on Thursday night, 8 o'clock, Waterscape Marine pops up, and it's for sale, and it says $460,000. Well, it was for sale 3 years before that for $1.1 million. So I called my accountant the next morning and I said, Rick, I think I'm supposed to go see Waterscape Marine. So he made a phone call on Friday morning that set me up with a real estate agent. Real estate agent called and said, I'll meet you there at 2 o'clock. Ryan didn't know anything about that I was going to go look at Waterscape Marine's old location on Lake Martin. So I called Ryan in the office. He was the service writer here at the end and said, I want you to see this video of Waterscape. When we pulled up the video to show Ryan Waterscape and what we were going to go look at that afternoon, the price from Thursday night to Friday morning had dropped $65,000. So I'm thinking this really is God pointing us in that direction. So I go down, look at Waterscape Marine. It's a 10,000 square foot showroom. It's got a 4,500 square foot service building with electric doors, a boat hoist. It's easily worth over $1 million, but it was for sale for $399,000. So we purchased it. Me and Ryan actually went down there and refinished the floors, cleaned it up, had it painted, and that's now our Lake Martin location, and it's a beautiful facility. But just God's handiwork or leading SKIER'S Marine through this entire growth process has been really fun to watch. We were excited to see what God had in store for our future. We continue to believe, and this sounds like what everybody else says, that they're faith-based, but we take that a step farther. We sort of believe God owns all this and we just get to manage it. And so getting to see what God's going to do next is really fun to watch because he's full of surprises. So fast forward a couple of years to being able to open a store in Chattanooga and have a really good manager and a really good service team in Chattanooga. And then another 6 months later and be able to open a store in Atlanta or the Gainesville market. And so to have 5 stores that are watersports stores, which is what we love, is very humbling and truly amazing. So how does that impact you, the customer of SKIER'S Marine? Number one is integrity. You should expect to be dealt with integrity with every transaction. SKIER'S Marine has to make a profit to stay in business, but there's a price that's fair to the consumer and fair to the dealerships. Unfortunately, a lot of boat dealerships don't know where that line is, but when we set our pricing, whether it's on boats or service or even an inner tube, we set a price that's fair, a price that we would be willing to pay for that product. So that way we can keep our doors open, still give world-class service, but the customer knows that they have not been taken advantage of. They haven't overpaid for a service or a repair or for a boat for that matter. They were treated fairly by the salespeople, and that means a lot to me. The second most important thing to me is service and getting your boat serviced in a timely manner. There's only so much warm weather. There's only so many weekends you get to enjoy with your family. So our service departments need to get your product out. If you're getting an oil change, or you have a motor break, or you just need it detailed, it shouldn't be something that takes weeks and weeks and weeks. Everybody gets busy, but we try to make sure your boat's fixed right, correctly. And then again, back to the integrity part. You're charged a fair price for the work we do on your product. And finally, what's most important to you, the customers, that SKIER'S Marine is still a family-owned business. Chad, myself, and Ryan are out on the weekends enjoying these boats with our family, with our friends, and still creating memories, even after all these years. And we want that for your family. We want your family to be out teaching your grandkids how to surf, pulling your kids on inner tubes, getting your wife to drive the boat for the first time. That's what SKIER'S Marine's for. Our passion is boating, and we want to help you create your legacy with your families.